Welcome to the Unheard Cries of a Mother, the podcast, where we dive into the raw, unfiltered stories of motherhood, the joys, the struggles, the sacrifices, and the triumphs. Here we amplify voices that too often go unheard, unshining light on some credible strength, resilience, and love of mothers around the world. I'm Sabrina Ben Salmi, your host, and I invite you to join me for this covered story behind the smiles, sharing lessons learned, and create a community of uplifting mothers who support, inspire. Let's honor the unheard cries and celebrate the silent voices of motherhood. Thank you so much today, Fran, for joining us. It's an absolute honor to have you here as a guest. We've been having a chat just before, so I'm trying to actually just gather myself. Like I'm still processing what we talked about. I can hardly, speak or articulate what I need to share. But no, thank you for that conversation and thank you for being here today. So thank you for having time, like scheduling some time aside to really sit down with me. But yeah, you've moved me. Like you really have thrown me off course with previous conversation. But this is just a chat between mothers, so other mothers can just observe, what you're going to share.
Thank you for having me. Let's just go with the flow.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
We're here now.
Exactly. So the first question that I've got for you is, can you share a pivotal moment in your motherhood journey that shaped who you are today?
What a question. So the mother I am today, wow. There's been so many different moments, but I think one of the biggest moments that has shaped me was when my daughter was just hitting year 8, year 9. Yeah, year 8. And my parenting, or I was raised quite freely yet strictly. So you don't answer back. Yeah. And yeah, my daughter came home from school. She went upstairs. She slammed the door. And I flew up the stairs like I was Bolt. Like I flew up the stairs like, who are you slamming the door? Are you all right? And then she calmly looks at me and said, Mum, it's not about you today. I've had a really hard day at school. I have friends. I have homework. I'm not feeling myself. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, but don't slam the door. And then I had to sit with it. Because I had to sit with my entitlement of being a mother, how entitled I was to chase her upstairs, not trying to think that, hold on, I've been where she is, and she's had something happen at school that she couldn't articulate or share with me at that time. But here's me flying up the stairs, going to drag the information out of her, which, hey, I've not been invited to the conversation. B, I don't even know what happened at school. And C, is it even the right time? So then me and her had this understanding that when she comes back from school, we do a check-in. If I'm at home, I'll be like, out of 10, where are you? If she's a 9, we're chatting, we're talking. But if she's a 2, a 3, or a 4, because I didn't even take in her menstrual cycle into consideration. So here's me being a parent as I thought I was parenting, but I'm not nurturing. So after this part, I went back to the nurturing element and re-evaluated how I nurture my children and what I share with them. So there's been different levels of the parenting, different levels of being a mother. And I feel like most parents, and this will be most mothers, year 8, year 9, hey, that's when you're tested because they're not old and they're not young. They're in between and they're finding themselves. And I had to reflect on where I was and what I wasn't allowed to do, and which was voice how I'm feeling. But the one thing that I've always shared with my children is, even if it's wrong, even if you think you're being rude, even if there's an issue, as long as you deliver it in a polite way, we can talk. So for me, that was one of I had to check on my parenting, check myself. Yeah.
Wow. As you were talking, it reminds me of a time Lachey said something very similar. And it's so important as parents, we do see our own perspective, but realizing that the child's life is real for them, and especially year 8, year 9. I'm so glad you shared that with mums. That is a transitional stage for both the male and female child. And it's such wisdom that you tapped in to say, I need to be there for her. Because Shay said when she wants to become a mother when she's at a time in her life where she can be grounded enough to deal with the eruptions. So he doesn't erupt when the child erupts. And I thought that's such wisdom. So just as you were sharing that, it's beautiful. That is really, really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Realizing that their world is real and they have their own ups and downs. Hold that space for them. Really nice. So the next question I've got is, what's one part of your story that you feel has gone unheard or unacknowledged?
My childhood. Because as a mother, my mothering skills have changed. And when I reflect on my childhood, who was my safe space? What did my safe space look like? I remember when my son finished his exams, I took the day off. Stayed at home, cooked food, regardless of whatever he was coming home with. I'm home, I'm present. And I remember him coming home and he was calm, he was chilled, grades were good. Where's the munch, mum? And I was sitting there and I was looking at this boy and my heart was full. And then I called my brother and I said to him, bro, can I ask you a question? And he's like, go on. And I was like, when you finish your exams, who was at home for you? And he's like, I just came home. And I'm like, bro, I'm so sorry. Now, me and my brother have a 7-year age gap. And I'm like, bro, I'm so sorry. I'm so that I wasn't that mature to even think about that. Because all I wanted to do was get out of the house. But now seeing my son, making sure that I'm present for him, that took me back to who was there for him? Furthermore, who was there for me? Furthermore, where were they? And it's a conversation that you can't have with your parents because it's hard for them to accept. Because in their eyes, how they were brought up, they would do what was needed. So they provided you roof, food, books, shoes, clothing. But for me, my childhood lack of certain presence is what's been unspoken, which has been unheard. But on the flip side, my children have replaced that unheard childhood with them being present for certain things. So when I finished uni, I remember the day I finished uni, I came home and they'd cooked roast dinner and they celebrated me. Now, they didn't have to. But then their response was, we know you didn't tell anybody because you're not used to celebrating yourself unless it's your birthday. So then I was like, okay, so then that's part of my childhood. That is enough. It's enough. I've been celebrated by them. So yeah, that's the answer. That's the long and short answer.
It's beautiful, really moving. And I think it's such a sacred journey, motherhood. When we are mothering our children, it causes us to look back. And I feel so honored to sit in this seat because some of us are mothering without actually having mothers or having a positive relationship with their mothers. So
yeah,
it's a really good point you've raised. Thank you for sharing that. The next question I have is, how has motherhood challenged your sense of identity?
Oh, we were in the hospital and they called, can the parent of, then they called my daughter's name, come to the GP's room. I sat there. Can the parent of, and I'm like, who's this? I'm like, oh, I'm the parent. My bad. And they meant me. And sometimes I forget I am a parent. Because when did that happen? When did that happen? And what does being a parent look like? And when do you transition from being the individual you, like me being Franchesca, to being the mother of said children? You know, and I think it's not become my identity. Wait, I've been out a few times and I'll be like, are you Faith's mum? And I'll be like, yeah. They're like, yeah. I was like, I'm leaving this bar now because you know my child, so let me go. But it didn't remove my identity. I guess having my children added on to my identity. It supported me being an individual. It supported me being, I am now somebody else's keeper. So it never took away from my identity. It added to my identity because it added to, I now have to be accountable to these humans. I now need to know that if I'm doing something on road and I'm being, whatever I'm doing out on road, I am somebody's parent. I am somebody's mother. So it never took away. It added to me.
I love that. That's beautiful. In addition to, that's really nice.
Yeah.
So next question I have. I've just still got in my head that you're saying I'm leaving this bar now.
Yeah, left.
With my child.
Gone. Yeah, you think so? No. Bye.
So the next question I have is, can you describe a time when you felt completely unseen and unsupported as a mother?
Oh, I'm going to be really real with you. It's really hard to say. I've never not been unsupported. Every time I've been unsupported, it's down to my own doing of not asking for help. It's down to my ego, my pride, I'm a bad man still, down to that. But I was never unsupported. I was only ever unsupported when my ego kicked in about me being a single solo mum. If I asked for the support, it would be there. But I never asked for it due to my pride. So it wasn't a case of me not being seen. It was me wanting not to be seen. I didn't want people to know I was struggling. I didn't want people to know that, my lecture's got £2.50 and it's got till Friday to last. I didn't want people in my business because they'll be there to support. But it was more of a pride thing, an ego thing. It's not a pity party thing. It's not a pity party thing at all. It's me saying, I can do it. Even if I can't do it, I'll do it. And if I don't do it, then we'll see what happens. But it was never a case of being unsupported. And I think this is something that I've learned over the years. I don't ask for help. You know me. I don't ask for help. It will happen. If it doesn't happen, oh, well, we'll carry on till tomorrow. But it was never that I wasn't unseen or unheard. It was just that I was raised in a way where we don't normally ask for support. And then, like, my dad used to have this thing: if you don't take credit cards because it's not your money, and also don't come and ask me for money unless your bank account's empty. And if your bank account's empty, why are you asking me? You know, those things. So it's not that I've not been unheard or unseen. It was me not wanting to be seen. It was me not wanting to be heard because I didn't ask for support.
That's deep. Yeah, that's also very deep. And I think even just saying that, how we're raised, those kind of belief systems that we have in our head that prevent us from doing that. But I could definitely attest, you do not ask for help. There's countless times I've
It's okay.
facing you. Definitely. Thank you for sharing that.
No, thank you. I'm getting better. She said.
I'm going to come for you, so I'm going to test it. So the next question I have is, what has been the most rewarding aspect of motherhood?
See my kids happy. That I can't explain the joy I have when we're here laughing, and we have belly laughs. We don't have like you've seen us. We don't have kiki. We have belly laughs where I now can't breathe, so I've got to get up, and I've got tears running down my face, and they're laughing at me now, laughing at that, and I'm choking. And for me, that's it. And then there's another time when they can come to me, and they can come, and they'll be like, "Mum," and they'll tell me stuff. And I'll be like, okay, when you're telling me this, are you telling me because you want advice? You want to just be heard? You want me to listen and come back later? Or you just need to share? And 9 out of 10 times, I don't really want to hear what I've got to say. So I keep quiet. And then when they're ready, then they'll be like, oh, Mum, you know what I said 6 weeks ago? What are your thoughts? And then I'll be like, okay, run that again and let's work it out together. Where before, I feel like, again, being brought up in an African household, you don't work things out together. You told, this is it. If you don't like it, that is it. If you don't do it, don't. No. Because your emotions aren't my emotions. Your understanding is not my understanding. So I think for me, these are the things that I hold so dearly. And sometimes they ask me questions. I'm like, raw. I mean, you got friends to ask that. Like, why you? I don't want to know. It's none of my business. Leave me alone.
Oh, do you know what? Oh, it's so funny. As you talk, I've got so much going around, but it's so funny, like having the blessing of being able to speak to your children is priceless. I totally relate to that. But I can also relate to you as a mother, is that having that gift, sometimes there's things they share, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't prepared.
Why? Right, you got friends.
Oh, that's beautiful. But no, that's priceless, absolutely priceless. So the next question I have is, what advice would you give to your younger self before becoming a mother?
Hey, Fran, motherhood is what it is. We're learning as we go. If you don't have money for dads today for the white shirts, buy soda crystals. It's £2 cheaper. Your motherhood, the way you parent or raise your children, is in no competition with the people you see on TV, the mothers who turn up to school. Like me, you've turned up to school rough. Like there's been days where me and you have done the school run, and I won't lie to you. I've looked at and I was like, nah, me and Sabrina look rough. Like we look rough, and then you've got the mums who do those mums, I couldn't stand them. The mums that, like when it was like bake day and they turn up and they've got their flour in a pot and they've got the eggs and the whisk and what did you buy in the bag? Oh, we bought a baking bag. My bag's the Sainsbury's carrier bag. And what? I've got to go to work, And that's that, yeah, Fran, you're not in competition with anybody. You're doing the best you can with what you can. That's it, because I look at some of the mums and they just come out of the car and they're floating and I'm shouting, get out of the car, I've got 20 minutes to get to work. Love you, bye. Then, oh, hi, mum, you forgot to top up school dinner money. It's not a failure. You're just busy. You've got it, And I feel like that's what I would say to the younger version of myself. It's all right. It's all right, And it's okay to have sausage sandwich and tea for dinner sometimes. It's not always a set meal. It's all right to have cornflakes at night. Like, who are you trying to impress? Relax.
It's beautiful. Yeah. I guess the common theme is don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the way you expose me, Fran.
Look, babes, I love you, but no, there's been days with me and you both me,
No, listen, I'm very good at saying to people I was a hot mess, didn't have it together, and I'm okay with that. And I think the message to mums listening is it's okay. No matter how you show up, it's okay. It will get better. But don't be so hard on yourself. I love that.
Very cool. I had a job interview and I was rushing. And I literally saw you from the corner of my eyes. I was like, oh, I guess Sabrina's taking the kids to school today. And I literally said, yes, hold this one's hand. You hold this one's hand. Sabrina, bye. And I'm gone. And I feel like that was the most important moment we had in our lives, that we had different kind of support around us.
Yes.
So it was lack of not having a competition with each other to say, I want to be like this mum and I want to be like this mum, but understanding that we're all struggling.
Yes.
So
That's a key point. Yeah, we are all struggling.
Yeah, there was times where I would go and do the school run at Maytime and I'm picking up 6 children.
Yeah.
And the lady at the door's like, oh, but their mum, I said, call the mum. I'm taking all of them.
Yeah.
If you've got a problem, call their parents. Because we have to help one another.
You did. Motherhood is an experience that will humble you, regardless of your background, regardless of how together you have it, it will humble you. There will be something that will just show up and you have to deal with it. But I love that, just picking up other kids from school. I definitely remember that. And, being able to take other kids, because we know what it's like. We know the journey. We know how things change. That's beautiful. Really nice. So the next question I have is, how do you balance the emotional weight of being a mother with pursuing your own dreams and aspirations?
I spa. I go to the spa. I go to the spa, I pray, I check in. My children hold me accountable for a lot of stuff because they're quite grown. And there was a very big element when I wanted to drop out of university because I did some work and I lost the work and I was dramatic. I was so, God, the work's done. Maybe this is not for me. Maybe I need to drop out. And it was just me and the kids at home. And it was really dramatic. And my daughter came downstairs and went, so this is what we're doing. So we're going to quit. So we're allowed to quit. Is that what you're telling me, Mum? I was like, huh? So no. You're telling me that we can quit in life. I was like, no, but I'm struggling. And she's like, oh, boo-hoo. Like, let's go. What do we need to do? And I was like, oh. So then she's typing and I'm reading what I've written. And my son's just watching us. And he's like, I'm going to go shop just for sweets. And he went to go and get snacks. And we came back and they sat with me. So now they're holding me accountable. So now they're telling me that I can't fail because they're watching me. So that's what got me. Because now it's like, oh, so you guys are really watching me. So then it became, you are what you see. So my emotions are channeled through how I speak to them. And my emotions are, sometimes I don't get it right. And I'll tell them straight, hey, today Mum's emotional. So, this is your first warning. Like, allow me in it. Give me some time. I think when they were younger, it was harder because I wasn't so emotionally intelligent because I learned that growing up. I learned that while I was parenting. And then obviously I shared this years ago, that I had me and alcohol had a nice little relationship. So when I was overwhelmed, I used to turn to the bottle, two drinks, I'm all right. But again, that had to stop when I think I came home one day unaware that my son had seen me crying and he rushed to the kitchen and he goes, I know what you need. And he came back with a bottle and I went, eh? I was like, no, we're not doing that. I was like, no, Mommy doesn't need that. He goes, no, have it, you'll be happy. And I was like, oh, wow. So there's been stages where I couldn't cope. And it wasn't down to my children, it was down to life. My life choices that I made, certain experiences that I couldn't share then with my children because they're so young. So I turned to negative actions and negative positionings within my life. That was nobody else's fault but mine. And a Costco card. And I could buy a case of 12 bottles of wine. But then it was like, it changed as I matured, as I learned more about myself, as I started doing therapy and studying therapy. I got better at managing my emotions. Like sometimes, even now, if I'm having an off day, I'll tell people, hey, call me on a Sunday. I'm very holy. You call me in between the week on a Friday night, you might not like the response. Because we all have emotions and we're all entitled to how we're feeling. And as a mother or being a parent in general, you've got to honor your emotions at times. But as mothers, we don't. And that was our problem. I'm angry. Let me be angry. Oh, it's okay. I want to be angry. Even if it's for 20 minutes. And I think that's where, with my emotions, that's where the balancing comes in. And I journal, you know me, my pen's on fire. I journal just to download my emotions. And sometimes I'll check, I'll be like, Fran, you're a drama queen. Like, you should get a Grammy. Because some of these stuff, you're overreacting. But let me react. Let me overreact. So I think that's how I balance it. And I'm very honest with my children. If I'm having an off day, I'll be like, boy, it might be a Morley's thing because I don't want to be in the kitchen. Because I'll probably cook. The food won't be out of love. It'll be burnt. So we're having Morley's because I'm not in the mood. And it's okay.
Yeah. I actually remember you telling me about the university experience, and I think it's so beautiful how, even coupling that with your son's exams, you celebrating them, you supporting them, and how they just pour that love back into you. When uni, holding your hands, just being there, getting the snacks, sitting down, typing with you. Because had you been on your own, would you have got through that process? How would you?
Absolutely not.
So that's priceless, absolutely priceless. They're gorgeous, both of them. So the next question I have is, can you share a lesson that you've learned from your own mother or mother figure in your life that shaped how you parent today?
What a question. So my mother is a giver. And my mother is an influencer. If my mum was back in the day, she would definitely be like on a TikTok star, or she'd be something, because she has a following, and she pours into people. And I think that's one thing that I took from my mum, is how she pours into people. But when it comes to being like motherhood, I feel like now, even my mum now being a grandma, I think she's relearning to be a mother, because she's got grandchildren who explore her emotions. So when I was younger, if I explored my mum's emotions, it'll be like I'm challenging her. But because it's her grandchildren, they're not challenging, they're exploring. So I feel like what my mum poured into me, that I pour, not just with my children, but with everybody, is I will support you to the core. And I will pour out as much love as I have to give. And I think that's good. That goes to my children, my friends, my family. And I love a community. And that's one thing my mum does. My mum's community out. Like, she is a community advocate, ambassador. Yeah, mum's there. Bless her. She would be like, yeah, even when she's not around, people remember, oh, your mother. I remember your mother. She used to. And that's what my mum gave me. My mum gave me that. And my mum's also very business minded. My mum is very, very much, oh, if you do this and you times this, and she passed that on to me. So when me and my son are sitting down and we're talking, he'll be like, oh, yeah, mum, but we can do this. And that's been passed down to, so it's what's been passed down to me more is sharing, community, especially like having, I use my old house. I always used to have kids in my house. Like, my neighbors asked me one time, they're like, Fran, there's about 15 children outside. I said, yeah, I'm cooking, it's Friday. But that was my mum. Like, sometimes I'll turn up and I'll see people in the house. I'm like, my brother's friends, and they've been in the kitchen. They come up with chicken, they're chewing chicken. I'm like, who are you? And I think that's what my mum's passed on to me, my getting the children, because mum had this thing where instead of being on the road, if you're at home, I know where you are.
Yeah.
So especially my daughter's friends, like when they're in the house, I can see. And sometimes they'll be like, my daughter will be home and she'll be like, why are my friends here? Like, I don't know. But they're eating.
That's beautiful. That's really nice. Oh, definitely. You are like that. You are definitely exactly like that. So my next question is, how do you define success as a mother?
Your child's happiness. Your children wanted to see you. Your children wanted to spend time with you without you asking. They'll be like, Mum, what are you up to today? Like, my daughter will be like, what are you up to today? Let's go and grab a bite to eat. She lives with me. She's in my house. Nobody's moved out. But let's go out. Or she'll be like, my daughter taught me that maintenance. She'll be like, yeah, I'm going to send you some money for your nails because it's maintenance, Mum. It's not a treat. I'm like, no, back in my day, it's a treat. She goes, no, it's maintenance. You need to maintain. Or my son will come and he'll go to work and he'll come back and he's got a bag and he's got simple things. He'll bring me like a rare nephew with a Coke and some chocolate. You're right. This is for you. Bottle of Zaflora. Seeing that, even when they're out and they just thought about buying a bottle of Zaflora, yeah, that's success.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's so nice. Like in motherhood, as they get older, when they're young, the cuddles and I love you, that's priceless. But as they get older, they remember certain aspects or come home with things. That is,
Yeah.
and when they treat you, it's like you're just floating. It's a different type of experience. So I can
Yeah.
definitely relate to that. That's beautiful. So my next question is, if you could rewrite any part of your motherhood journey, what would it be and why?
Rewrite any part of my motherhood journey. It had to be the way it was for me to learn. So there's nothing I would rewrite. There's nothing. I can't think of anything because in everything there was a lesson. It was funny story, funny story. Don't do this, mums. Don't listen to me. We had we didn't pay our council tax because we were juggling. And I was like, the kids' mental health was a lot more. So we went on holiday. Anyway, so I bought the tickets for the holiday and my daughter knew the exact amount. And then maybe a few months later, we got like a summons because we hadn't paid that amount for the council tax. And my daughter looks at me, she goes, but we had a good holiday, innit? And then she's like, here's £50 towards it. And that's why there's nothing I would rewrite because every mistake I made, everything that I didn't know, everything that I thought I knew has made them, me, the parent and the young adults they are today. So yeah, I don't, sometimes you hear mothers go, oh, I wish I never slept with whoever. If you didn't sleep with him, you wouldn't have your child. So no. The choices we made when we made them as mothers were the best at that time. And even if they weren't, it all worked out. So yeah, no.
It's nice
Ain't
that
got one.
you have peace with what happened.
Yeah.
And chose to learn and take from it what you experience in a positive way. So it's really nice to have that peace. So the next question I have is, how has societal pressures influenced the way you view or approach motherhood?
So culturally, because society, yeah. So I mean, society and culture is the same thing, but culturally, being a solo mother and unmarried mother within the African community, the pressure's funny because you do it to yourself. You're like, when you get there, make sure. So you want to make sure your children look smart. You want to make sure, and this goes back to me not being unseen or unheard because of the judgment of being a solo mother, And I remember one of my aunts saw the kids and she goes, oh, they look okay. They look good, being a single mama and all. And in my head, I was like, listen, you've got a husband and yeah, like, don't do that. But the society or the cultural pressures, if you tap into it, you will lose. Because we're looking at people who are telling us what we should be doing and how we should be doing it. And you make a smoothie in the morning for your children. And when you get home from work, cook a balanced diet. Who's cooking a balanced diet at 7 p.m.? Who's got time to make a smoothie? We manage with what we've got, So I think society's pressures, they're not realistic. And the cultural pressure I had was not being married and having 2 children. But in turn, I didn't prove I did. I made sure that whenever me and my children turned up, we turned up. We turned up, we were present, we were, elbows were greased, ankles were greased. We looked like we're somebody's children, we're a family. And our unity as a family was what kept the cultural and the society pressures out. So nobody can come and speak to my daughter and say, oh, I think your mum should do this. Or someone will go to my son, oh, I think your mum should do that. Because my son will be like, talk to my mum directly. You're not going to come and tell me, oh, don't you think your mum should settle down now? No. And that's the cultural pressures. Society pressure, society has their own problem. Society are struggling. So I feel like the cultural pressures, it's funny because they always say single mum, single mum, single mum. There's not a double mum. There's not a triple mum. You have solo parenting. You've got people who are married and on paper, they're still solo mums. There might even be triple mums because they're looking after their partners and their children. So as a mum, and this is to all mums listening, don't let society play with your life. Don't let them do it because you'll be at home worried about what society thinks and society's asleep. Society won't support you. You're the best version of the mother your children need today. Don't let society pressure you.
It's really important to actually have a strong mindset to deal with that, to balance what you allow to penetrate, but also what you filter out. I'm glad that you made the distinction between society and culturally, because there are very different pressures, and there are some major cultural pressures internally that you have to address. But I love the fact that your children were trained to know how to deal with that, because I guess for a young person, it's difficult to know what to do. But I love the speak to mum directly, and that's exactly how it should be.
Yeah.
It's not fair on them. That's really nice. Thank you. So my next question is, how do you cope with the guilt and doubts that often come with motherhood?
The doubt is what is tomorrow's a new day. The guilt is the shoulda, coulda, woulda, and then I have to play it out. And then once I play it out in my head, it's like, okay, why do I feel guilty? Okay. So there was I think there was a kids party there was 4 kids party back to back at, what's that place called? Romford. No, not Kids Space, the other one, Kids Kingdom. Kids Kingdom. And there was like 4 parties back to back from 10 a.m. I was there from 10 a.m. till about 3 p.m. I remember sitting in the car crying because I'm tired. But the last party was one of the kids' real good friends. And I really just wanted to leave. I was tired. I remember calling my brother and be like, bro, this one, you're going to have to tap in. And I remember my brother came and had the kids while I went home. And I only went home to sleep because I was tired. But I couldn't sleep because I felt guilty for not being present. I felt guilty because if something happened while I'm not there, and then I had to sit with the guilt. There was nothing I could do about it but sit in the guilt. I didn't try and deflect it and, oh, maybe, or no, I just sat in it. It was uncomfortable. But then when the kids came back and they went to bed, I remember my brother saying to me, if you can't do it all, don't do it all. And I was like, well, you're right, because I could have absolutely missed the first party. But it's the guilt of being present. It's the guilt of being a mum. It was the guilt of not being present, sorry. It was the guilt of not being, as society and culture, you're always there. And I feel like I won't call it guilt. I'll think of a different word. I don't think it's guilt. It's being reassuring that I'm doing enough as a mum. But then you've got job roles for everything. Everything's got a job description, but being a mother. There's no tick box. Kids have bath today, tick box. Kids are happy today, tick box. Because if your kids are happy every day, when they grow up, how do they deal with sadness? How do they deal with anger? How do they deal with loss? So your kids won't be happy every day. And that's okay. I remember, I think my son's football team lost. And this guy was upset. And I didn't know what to do. I was like, it's football. But to him, it's really important. But it's football, bruv. But obviously, I didn't say it's football. And the guilt I had then was, that if he had a male around him, the male could be present for him. So then I felt guilty because his dad wasn't about, and it wasn't my fault, and it wasn't his dad's fault. It was just the way things had panned out. But then I called his godfather. I'd be like, yo, your boys. And he's like, yeah. I'm upset too because my team's lost. I said, all right, call your boy. So I think the guilt side, we've also got to acknowledge, especially as mothers, that our children, male and female, need positive role models. And they do need males in their life. No mother can do it all by themselves. They need a male role model that they trust to interject the masculinity into both children. I remember one day my daughter, I think she was going to a party or something like that. And I said, oh, you look nice. She goes, that's your job to say I look nice. You're my mum. But then when her uncle said, oh, you look nice. Your uncle. I said the same thing. Yeah. But it's how they see us. So we must, by all means, put our pride and our ego aside. And that's where the guilt doesn't happen, because you've done your best. You've given them the best of both worlds, even if it's not their father or their grandfather, but a positive male role model to also vent to have some form of relationship with, that they can see, okay, mum might not get it right, but mum's provided us somebody that when mum doesn't get it right, we can go to them. So yeah, the guilt, I sat in it and then I shared it.
I think that's really important. It's interesting because it leads into my next question. It says, what role has community played in your journey, whether it's been a source of strength or something you've struggled with?
My community, my friends are amazing. My family friends, they're amazing. Yeah. One of my friends, there's loads of us, we're Ghanaian, everyone's our cousin, you know that, we're all cousins. Yeah, when you meet a Ghanaian, we're cousins. Are you cousins with Fran? Yes, we're cousins. The Nigerians too, we're cousins. And I remember I needed childcare because I had an event and a lot of people coming to my event. And one of my friends, she lived in Mitcham. So she came down to have the kids and she went to Ilford and she was out shopping. And then when they came home in the evening, she said, I'm never having your children again. I said, why, what happened? She said, because I got stopped at least 4 times by people asking, who are you? We don't know you. Kids, are you all right? And then my daughter was like, yeah, it's auntie's mom's friend from da 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 da. Are you sure? Yeah. And then one of my brothers used to work in Ilford in one of the shops. And one of the guys from outside came to stop and went, hey, hi, sorry, I don't know you, but we've never seen you with the kids before. Can you come in? And she literally, like, she said she had to come in and they had to confirm. And she said, boy, your people. I said, right? Like my local cab firm, Hearts Cars, they're no longer Hearts Cars. I don't know what they are. But there'd be nights where when the kids were older, they'll go clubbing or whatever. And my son will call me and goes, oh, mum, I need to leave now. I'll be like, cool, I'll call them up. And I'll be like, can you grab him? He's here. When you come back in, I'll give you cash. And I remember there was a party he went to and he didn't like, I think shady people turned up or whatever. So I said to them, can you make sure that so-and-so, his name is Roger, can you get Roger to, Roger called me, yeah, Fran, don't worry, I'm going to go in. And I said, no, you don't need to go in. You're just telling me outside. So when my son came in, my son was like, Roger came in, you know, my uncle Roger came all the way in and then called me and asked me if I have to take anybody else's kids. So then I called somebody else and said, oh, your son's at party with my son. And she's like, no, 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 grab him too. So I was like, yeah, Rog, grab him too. So yeah, my community, yeah, they played a big role. But also I believe that they play as much as you want them to play, because it's only how much you ask support or what you give. You know, if you don't ask for the support or you don't show that you need the support, they won't give. And you've got to also know your community. You know, we used to have this thing where the solo mothers, if I have 5 children this weekend, then I know for the next 5 weekends, I've got childcare. Because I'll have 5 so that mum can go out. Then, yeah, then we just do it. We had chickenpox party, called my cousin, I was like, hey, Faith's got chickenpox, what are you doing? I've got a week off, bring the kids round so that I can have them for that week so they have chickenpox together. So then you don't have to take any time off. She was like, cool, I'm on my way. My other friend called me, she goes, oh, I heard Faith's got chickenpox. I'm on my way. I said, yeah, bring them. That's the community. It's, you know, and then now you owe me 10 days of childcare. So I'll do 10 Saturdays in a row. I'm out.
That's priceless that you all support each other. That's amazing. So the next question is, what do you wish people understood about the emotional labor that mothers have? Mum's always having stuff in their head to deal with.
You see, that's a powerful question. And it's a very powerful question with a very unpowerful answer. People will never understand your emotions because it's your emotions. So you can't make somebody understand, or you can't share with someone like, this is how I feel. Because in their opinion, in their experience, in their child rearing, how they were brought up, they won't get it. So the short answer to is that I don't. wish for anybody to understand my emotions. And I think it's now, I'm at that stage as a mother now. If you don't understand my emotions as a mother, I don't actually care, because it's not your job to understand me. And it's not your job to respect me, or I don't need to be seen by you. The only people that need to see me are my children. The only people I need to be accountable at this current mothering period of my life are my children. If Joe Blogs doesn't understand my emotion, and I've come to school and I look a bit of a mess, and they want to go, oh, was it a hard night? Oh, did you do night shift? No, I was swinging from the trees. I'm not going to tell you what I was doing, because I no longer need to explain myself. And this is to the mums out there. If you wake up and you feel sad, own the sadness. It's for a season, it's for a period. You will feel tired, you will feel drained, but nobody's going to understand. I can't do anything about you feeling drained. I wish I could. I wish I could say, I don't know, pass me the baton of how much drained you feel. But I go back to my house and you go back to your house, and we'll do it all over again. So emotion-wise, sit with it. Honor how you feel. If you feel sad, honor it. Give it some time. Don't judge yourself too much. Nobody, no mother, no parent gets it right. Because if they did, we would have used their handbook that they used to raise us.
I like what you're saying, acknowledge the emotion. So whatever it is, just sit with it, don't brush it off. Because I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves to be sad or be with the emotion, and it will pass. You're right, it will pass. The next question is, what legacy do you hope to leave behind for your children?
Love, joy. Love, joy. I've said to my daughter, and I've said to my son, like, when you have children, the one thing I never want my grandchild ever to do is pick up the phone and say, Mum and Dad's not listening to me. Because then we're gonna have a problem. Because as far as I'm concerned, in my parenting journey, one thing I do is listen. So I do not ever want to turn up or hear you telling your child, no, I'm in control. No. Even if you are in control and you are the parent, listen, observe, read body language, communicate. I don't want to hear my grandchildren saying, Mum doesn't communicate with me. What? Text them, WhatsApp them, but you have to communicate, because that's something that I know is embedded in you guys. So my legacy for them, if anything, I wish I had £1 million to leave them and pass that on to my grandchildren. But my grandchildren, and hopefully it'll be passed down, that the cycle of being unheard as children stops with my children. The cycle of not being listened to, the cycle of being shut down, the cycle of not being catered to, the cycle of not being present. That's my legacy.
It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. I love how you said that things end with you but start with you, and that communication, because you've actually opened that hemisphere with your children. You make sure that you create a safe space they can be listened to and feel heard. So it would be unusual for them not to hand that down. That's really beautiful, really beautiful. My next question is, how has motherhood transformed your relationships, be that with your partner, family, friends? Like, how has it impacted those relationships around you?
Yeah. So motherhood. This is really funny. And I'm going to start with racism. And I'm going to say, we moved to a very unmixed area. And one of my neighbors, bless him, when we were moving, because we moved last year, we'd been on our road for 12 years. He came and he said to me, I'm going to really miss you, Fran, and the kids. So I was like, ah. And he's like, please forgive me for what I'm about to say. And then his son came over and his son was shaking his head. And then his son was like, then his dad was like, no, let me say it. I want to say it. And he goes, when you moved in, I was so scared because you were a single Black mother. So I was like, why is that? He's like, because I assume that you'll be shouting, swearing at your kids, having barbecues, playing music, and smoking weed. But you've shown me a whole different side to it, and your children have. And I said, why? And he says, I've never seen your children, and they've never said, hi, uncle, or helped me with my shopping. Like during COVID, your daughter knocked on the door when she was going to Aldi to say, hey, she used to do like a road calls because they were quite older, they were older white people. So she was like, listen, I'm going to Aldi. What do you guys want? You know, and I feel like that honors me because I don't tell her to do that. I didn't tell her to go and do that. She decided to do that. And then with my friends and family, like when they see my children, I normally, it's funny, I get compliments and that fills me up. It's like, your children are lovely. You've done a really good, and do you know what I used to get offended by was when people going, oh, you've done a really good job with your kids. I was like, what do you mean? But now I had to check it and understand by their standards of thought process, I've done really well because I'm a solo mother. So when they say you've done really well, I used to get offended because I'm like, what, you think they'll be, what? I don't know, jumping off, walking around. I don't know what they thought. But then I had to honor it and understand where they were coming from. I didn't have to, I wanted to. Because the expectations of a solo mum in that living in the area I was in, or just being Black, call a spade, being a Black single mum, I think some communities had an expectation, you know, and my kids are they are very cultured. And it's funny because on our road, there's 4 older white people. And when I say older, they're all over 60 and 70. And when one of their wives passed, and I remember him coming over and he was like, oh, we're going to the funeral, da, 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 da. Can you and the children accompany us? So I was like, no problem. And then he was like, can you sit in the front car? I was like, cool, I'm not doing that. So I asked my other neighbors, like, can I jump in with you? And they were like, yeah. And she even said that you've changed our outlook on, because they're old, they use the word colored families, because you're not what we expected. And it's a reoccurring theme, especially, I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I like to educate people where like not every Black person shouts and swears. But my children represent me in those areas, represent when they go to family things and I'm not there. And the feedback I get, I'll be like, yeah, you guys are good. Yeah. So for me, my friendships, my relationships, and sometimes Faith will say to me, Mum, you're being, what did she say? Somebody upset me. And I was like, no, I'm not having it. And she's like, Mum, you're doing a lot. Like, it's not that deep. You're sitting here thinking about it, where the person might have not meant it like that. And I'm like, well, that's what they said. And she's like, no, call them, clarify, because that's what you want us to do. You want to be heard. So call the person. And you know what? She was right. I called the person. She's like, no, I didn't mean it like that. And I was vexed and annoyed because Faith was right. But it is what it is. You keep it moving. So I've learned a lot. And yeah, being a mother and just seeing their friendships and how it works out, and then asking me for advice, and then me asking them for advice. And because they're older now, the whole concept of your question has changed. If you asked me this when they were 10, I'll be like, I don't know. But now they're older now, and I see it. And I see how some of my friends and my cousins communicate via my daughter. They're like, can you check with your mum to see when? Because she's the organizer. And then she'll be like, Mum, we're going out on this date. I've booked a table. And I'll be like, okay, cool.
That's amazing. I love that. So the next question is, what's the most unexpected lesson that you've learned from your children?
It's all right to not be all right. It's all right to fail. It's all right to make mistakes. I'm gonna really try and make this really short. I've got a poem or a story, I call it, about the electric key. Because when my parents separated and my dad left home, I think a few months later, the electric key turned up because we used to pay by bill. because my dad used to, and then the electric key. And then the electric key, whenever it was running out, it beeps. Beep, beep, and then you go and check. And I didn't understand how traumatic that key was towards me, because the key represented breakdown in relationships, family, because we're not paying by direct debit, we're paying by key. That means we've not got enough money because, so forth, so forth. So then when we moved, we got an electric key. And this key triggered me. So I said to my son, top it up, like go and top it up. And then there was one day that I think I had £15 before I got paid. So I said to Mike, top up the key, put a fiver on it because we're on emergency, and then get dinner. So then on his way home, he lost the key. So we've got no electric, but we've got fish and chips. And he's like, I've lost the key. I was like, oh, okay, go and look for it. But it was late, whatever, I didn't find it. So anyway, we had fish and chips. And then we did a story time with candles in the sitting room. So I'd start a story, my son would take over, my daughter would do the end part. So we did it. And then halfway through, I went upstairs to the bathroom and I cried. I cried. I'm like, what kind of mother lets their children sit in? Like, I was upset. I was in tears. I was so emotional. Then I wiped my face down and we continued the story and went to bed. And then maybe, so he's 20. So maybe 5 years ago, we were just sitting there talking about best times they've had as children. These two people turned and said, oh, Mum, you know that night when we had fish and chips and we were telling stories in the dark? I was like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, that was one of our best nights. One of my worst nights. Like, these people have been to Ghana, Dubai, Lanzarote, Spain, Portugal. They've been to, what's that place? Legoland. That was one of your favorite nights. The nights I felt like I had failed as a mother and we're eating fish and chips in the dark with candles. That's your favorite night. I sat there, I was like, nah, you lot aren't serious. You lot are not serious. I've taken you out for meals. We've been to Basaba, like we've been to restaurants. But your favorite memory is the day we had no electricity, we had candles, and we had fish and chips. And that was a lesson where I'll say to mums listening, they just need your presence. They don't even need experiences. It's your presence, it's your time, it's your ears, it's your presence. That has been my biggest, it humbled me. And it was my biggest lesson. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. That's very powerful. Very unexpected lesson there. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's just made me feel quite zenned out, actually. If you could change one thing about how society views or supports mothers, what would it be?
Stop making assumptions that mothers want to be single. Stop making assumptions that, mothers are all single, solo mothers are on benefit. Stop making assumptions that mothers are the problem. Sometimes we are. Don't get one. Sometimes we are. But stop judging without knowing a full story. Because, and I'm really okay to share this now. I didn't become a single mother by choice. I became a single mother due to the government not allowing my husband to stay. I was in a stable relationship. I was married. We had children together. But because I didn't earn enough, he wasn't allowed to stay. So sometimes being a solo mother, single mother, it wasn't by choice. It's by the laws of the land.
Yes, that's it. I think it's so important what you've said, the assumption, making assumptions. That's a lot, because we don't all arrive at that door by the same means. You're quite right in that. So what is the most misunderstood part of motherhood in your view?
That everybody can be a mother. No. Yeah. Being a mother takes resilience. Being a mother takes sacrifice. Being a mother takes understanding. Being a mother takes love. Being a mother takes a lot more than what it just says on the tin. It's like looking at a cake and the cake looks beautiful, but you don't know what the ingredients are in the cake. You don't know how much sugar it takes. You don't know how much flour. Everybody can bake a cake, but every cake will taste different. So being a mother is, and I used to laugh. I said, being a mother is not for the faint-hearted. Being a parent is not for the faint-hearted. But being a mother, you have to nurture yourself before you even try to nurture others.
That's a powerful message. Very true. Very, very true. Very similar question is, what's the most misunderstood part of your journey as a mother?
Most misunderstood about my journey. I believe maybe it's misunderstood because I didn't want people to understand. So to some people, they thought, oh, Fran's all right. I wasn't all right. But I made it look okay because my pride and my ego held me back. And it held me back for protection in some areas. And it held me back sometimes for just because. So I think maybe people will see me and think Fran's had it a bit more easier than others. But no, I was just very good at being unseen and unheard.
Yeah, that's powerful. That is. Sometimes it's actually a choice. I like the fact that you shared that. Very much so. So the next question I have is, how has motherhood changed your perspective on yourself, your goals, and life in general?
So growing up, I wanted to be a tea lady or a bus driver. I was very happy being any one of them. And then I was open and willing to settle for any job that paid me money to look after my family. And then my daughter said, why don't you go back to university? I was like, pardon? What do you mean? She's like, oh, people ask you about this and you're quite good at this and you're very good at this. And I was like, no, I don't want to be the oldest person in uni. I don't want to be this. And she goes, you don't want to? Okay. And whenever she repeats what I said, that means she's challenging me, but in the nicest way. So then I applied for uni and then I got into uni and then I finished uni, I finished the therapy, I did psychology, I did the whole counseling, and then I did hypnosis and I finished it. And I believe that if I didn't become a mother, I wouldn't have followed that path.
Wow.
I wouldn't. I'd have been an auntie somewhere in Ghana going, hey, go and open the door. Yeah, but I love what I do and I do it. And the support that they give me at my events and at my talks,
So
I can't fail because they're watching me. And the night before, they're like, have you packed your bags? Where's the register? Where's the register? And then Faith will be like, okay, what tickets have been paid for? How many more do we need to push? I can't fail because they're watching me.
they're not only watching you, they're hand in hand with you. Sometimes
Yeah.
helping you along. They're amazing.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. They're gorgeous. They're really gorgeous.
Thank you.
So the next question is a trivia question. There's a couple just light-hearted questions. The first one is, if your children were to write a book about you, individual books, what would the title be?
My son would call it Marge. He would call it Marge, I'm asleep. No, what does he say? Marge, it's okay to rest.
Oh,
Because I'll be like, I'm not sleeping. He goes, Mom, it's all right to rest. Nobody's going to take you to prison. Like, it's all right. That would be my son. And my daughter, oh, my daughter put it, yeah, the book itself will be called Chapters because every chapter will be different.
oh, I love
So
that.
she'll call it Marge the Chapters. Yeah.
I love that. Really good titles. You need to write them down. I
Yeah.
love that. Really nice. Next question is, what's the funniest mum fail moment that you experienced?
There's been a few. So we were going to Dubai and Faith's got cashews and she's eating them. And then she looked at me. And it's not funny. It's not funny, but it was funny after. It's only funny after. And then she started drinking water. So then my brother's like, what's wrong? I said, I don't know. So then I was like massaging her throat. I said, stop eating the cashews. And like we landed, everything was all right. And then when we came back to London, yeah, she found out she was allergic to cashews. But
No.
so my friend was never getting them tested, never getting them any allergy tested or anything like that. And yeah, like Faith said there, she went, I almost died, you know. Mum was like, can you imagine? She's like, no, don't agree. You should have got us tested. I was like, yeah. But you're alive and it's all good. So you know that you're now allergic to cashews.
Oh my God, that's scary. That's so scary.
So that was one of my biggest mum fails. And then the other one, I remember Fabian had like a birthday party and I was rushing around collecting all the kids. I went to school, put all these boys in a head count, got home. They, no, didn't get home, got like, just near the roundabout, got a phone call from the school. I was like, hi. They're like, hi, mom, you forgot a child. I'm like, no, 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 everybody's here. They're like, no, you forgot your daughter. I was like, ugh. Yeah, sorry. I picked him up and I was like, I wonder why the car was quiet. But yeah, I've had a few mum fails.
Oh, we've got a
Uh,
load.
I've had a few mums, mum fails. Yeah, but God being so good. Like I think I remember we went to watch wrestling because we're wrestling fans. And I couldn't afford the good seats. So I was like, okay, let's just go for the experience because my brother and my sister-in-law had paid for our first batch and we got really good seats. So I tried to, match the energy and I bought seats. And all the way there, I was like, God, you know what? Please let the seats be good. We got there, the seats were like nosebleed seats. So I said to the kids, just sit down. We'll move when they move us. And Faith was like, Mum. I said, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. So evidently, half an hour into it, we got moved. So we moved. And then I was like, oh, those seats are empty. And Faith was like, Mum, there's no seat. I said, just. So then we sat there and we still really good tickets, but they weren't our tickets. And then the guy turned up and me with my big mouth went, at this point, are you even a fan? Like, you're 2 hours late. I mean, our seats are up there. We would move, but my children are having a great time. And he's like, I was like, I'll go up and I'll just sit in your seats. And I remember Faith going, nah, you see you, yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's a mama felt because I was trying to impress them, but I couldn't impress them. But then on the flip side, the guy was just like, yeah, like whatever, innit? He's obviously not a fan because he went up to our seats, which were nosebleed. But yeah, there's been mum fails, boy. There's been, oh, I can't.
There is so many. The next
So many.
the next question is, what's your go-to hideout place when you need a break?
My bed. And it depends which child's in the house. So if his Faith's about and she notices it, like she'll come and just sit on the floor. And bear in mind, both of my children are in their 20s. So the bathroom, they'll sit there, they don't care. Like they still, mums, just so that you know, even when they get older, you might be in the loo and they might just come and there's nowhere as private. But if I go to my bed, they'll either sit on the bed or they'll try and there's one night they all tried to I was in the middle and they've squashed me.
Oh,
And I was like, go away. But they're like, no, you need this. So we're staying.
oh,
But yeah, my bed and I have candles. It's so funny. So I've always got my candles and my notebook. So they'll check in. There's certain music that if they hear that music's playing, they'll leave me alone because they're like, Mum's having quiet time. And then after 2 hours, they'll be like, all right, now you're taking the mic. Like it's been 2 hours. But yeah, again, I spa. I love a good spa. And I do solo lunches and dinners. I like to take myself out. So yeah, that's my hideaway.
that's lovely. When your children were growing up, what are some of the strangest things that you found in their backpacks or pockets?
So my daughter, anything that belonged to me, anything that belonged to me.
Oh, it's
And then
funny.
she'll ask, are you sure that's yours? Like, yeah, that, my son, he, yeah, he wasn't really, yeah, he's not, there's never nothing strange with him. My daughter, yeah, she'll just pack random stuff. She'll just pack random stuff. I'll be like, why is that there? Because I like the smell of it, but it's not yours. Yeah, but did you miss it? I've had it for a week. At this point, it's mine. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because they're both similar, but they're very different also. So, for example, like if there's snow, she's out there in the snow, and she'll probably try and pack snow. Where my son will be like, It's not, no, we're not doing that. I'm staying in. That's your other child.
That's so funny. Okay, so the next question I have is, if our community of listeners could support you in 3 transformative ways, what would you ask for?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Sure. If our community of listeners could support you in 3 transformative ways, what would you ask for?
Anything to support me would be supporting them. So
This one strictly is about you. So the podcast is about, you're sharing your journey, but what can our community do to support you? So it's not about them, it's about you. 3 things for you.
is there any other questions after this? Can we come back to this one? I have no answer.
Yeah, we can come back, but we're going to need to answer that one. We need something for you. So what's one way that you plan on paying it forward as a result of having this conversation today?
I've got a few mothers that I would like to pass on your message. And also I'd like you to interview them. Because I think sometimes we need to hear our story via somebody else. And I've got like 6 ladies in my head already. And I spoke to one yesterday and she's like, oh, tell me how it is first. And I said, no, I got you. I got you. I'm all about sharing and caring. So yeah, I would pay it forward by sharing and seeing this vision come to, I don't think it's full. I think this is just the start of this vision. So I'll definitely share it. And I want to commend you on having the vision, because I know when it started, and pushing it through. And to be honest with you, mothers, we're not the easiest to talk to because of our pride, our ego, and the negative experiences we've had in the past. So well done, you.
Oh, bless you. Well, thank you. It's not only possible if people like yourself don't show up. So thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm going to do one more question. We're going to go back to the question about you. So, how do you hope sharing your story on this podcast will impact others?
I hope it impacts others by them hearing it and being honest with their emotions and understanding that my journey is my personal journey and not comparing their journey with mine, and understanding that it's a process. This too shall pass. If it's beans on toast today, tomorrow it could be whatever. If it's I'm feeling sad because my partner's not here, whether it's loss, grief, marriage breakdown, relationship breakdown, you are doing the best you can at this moment in time. And that's what I want people to hear from my journey. Those who hear it and they know me and they know my children, then you know my story, because you see my kids and you're like, oh yeah, these lot are different. But under the power of my voice that goes to any mother that hears this, I want you to feel seen and heard, even if you've not decided to be heard yet. But I want you to feel seen and heard and understand that your children are a reflection of who you are. And not taking it out from anybody, but me and my children were sitting there talking, and my daughter's got a certain taste in music, which is very independent women, Jill Scott, da 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 da. And then my son really loves old school 90s love songs. And I remember we were sitting there and I was like, yeah, because when I had you, I was overly independent, my oldest one. I was overly independent. So the music I was playing was, Jill Scott, You're Getting in the Way. And then with my son, I'm playing Silk. So again, their environment that they're brought up in is very important. So my daughter's taking in that independent one, but my son's hearing love songs. So you've got to be a reflection of what you want your children to be. Do not let the pressure of society, culture, and then this is one more thing I'll share with mums before I go back to the question. Not to scare you, but be aware of who you let through your doors when your children are in your environment. Your environment, my environment, has to be the safest space for your children. They need to feel seen, safe, and secure. And it doesn't matter at what age. So it's no disrespect to anybody who's trying to look for love or start a new relationship, but keep it outside until you're ready. Even with your female friends who have children, with your male friends who have children, because the bonds your children make with other children will also be a reflection of you. So be careful who you let through your doors, what time, and those who do night shifts, be present when you can and ask questions and reaffirm that they will never get in trouble for telling you the truth, But I pray that you hearing this story, my journey, my process, you find confidence in understanding that we don't get it right. My oldest is 24, my youngest is 20, but we keep it moving.
That's so deep. You unpacked so much there, and I really thank you for that response so much. But I think one thing that stood out, so many things did, but one thing I just want to echo is when you said the comparison. Don't compare someone's chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20. I love that. Just, it's a process. Please listen to that. That's beautiful. So now we go back to the first question. Right? So if our community of listeners could support you in 3 transformative ways, what would you ask for?
3?
Yes, 3.
I'm struggling with 1.
No. Get used to it. See, you said it before. You already know it, but are you going to allow yourself to ask? I think it's so important that, mothers support each other, and you never know who's listening. You never know where this can land, who's going to listen to it, and who feels called to, reach out to you and offer some support.
Can I do 1?
You cannot do 1, sweetheart. You can only do 3.
So 1, the only one I want is 1 would literally be my baby, my healing table. My healing table, follow me, join me on the journey of healing, self-discovery, self-reflection. Join the community of, I don't like how this feels, but we're going to sit in it. Join the community of, when I am empty nested, what is my life after? When my children leave, what do I have left? Join the community of, oh, that's why I don't like that smell. So I would love for anybody listening to this to join me, follow the healing table. We're branching out, and I'm claiming it that we're branching out, going to Ghana. So I'm branching out. But yeah, follow.
Can they find you? Where can they find you? Is there a website, social media?
So Instagram, the healing table, you'll find me. If you're a businesswoman, second one, see, I've got another 2.
No, you're asking, you know what, I've got some rules and restrictions around what you're asking for. You're asking for things for somebody else, okay? So let's do the social media handles.
That still comes.
Yeah, but we're going to get to that. So social media handles, so Instagram, LinkedIn, are you on LinkedIn and Twitter?
I'm on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is Akuawords. I love words, Franchesca. And then Facebook is Akuawords again. Beautiful. But I'm sure Spring will put in whatever she needs to put in there so you can find me.
I will do.
Yeah, and then the community question.
What do you want? A building, funding, mentors? Let's ask for 3 things, because asking them to follow you isn't an ask. That's come on.
What do I want? I sound like those beauty pageants. Love, peace, and happiness. I want love. I want peace. Opportunities.
Okay.
If you've got a business and you need me to come and talk and share and, support me in any way, support you. You know what I mean? Just to be present, to come and, it's the same thing. Don't do that. Don't make that face. Let's not do that.
So I'm hearing 1 ask is they can book you for public speaking engagement.
There we go.
Only 1. Yeah. Okay. 2.
That's the second one.
That's the first one.
This is really hard.
Do you need a venue? Do you need funding? Do you need access to recording material? Like what?
Oh, anybody does venues, like decent amount of venues, like prices wise, please contact me, because I need support in venues. I think certain boroughs are taking the mick with me because they like what I do, but they also like my money. So yes,
like your money. So if you're able to sponsor with venue hire, if there's we can hire it out for free to Franchesca.
Yes.
So do.
And then this one's a really strange one. But if you have any men who need therapy or need support in any way, send them my way. We do men table talks for the healing table. We do, yeah.
Is that breaking the rules a little bit? It's transformative for you, for you. So
yeah, but having
for
them
you.
come to see me is like just like a venue, isn't it? It works same hand in
No,
hand.
you're trying it. One more, something that you would like that would transform you.
Something that I'd like to. When you see me, say hi.
Is there a TV show you want to be on? Do you want to do a Netflix? Like, just put a call out to the network. Never know.
What I want to be on Deal or No Deal. That's what I want to be on. Or the Will, Michael McIntyre's Will. But my call out is, if you see me, if you see anything I do, like, share, please. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That
Thank
was
you
hard. That was pressure.
I think as mums, we are used to being everything to everyone, but it's like when you include yourself in the equation, it's not always the case that you're fluid with saying this is what I want. So get your life shopping list together so you can get good at telling people what you need for you.
I'm now thinking, like, did I even say enough? I don't know. I need a tailor. If anybody's in East London, they sew. I need a tailor.
I like that.
Yeah, I need a tailor.
I love that. Some beautiful bespoke outfits for your public speaking engagements. I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So the next question I have is, what are you proud of yourself for?
That I'm here. That I'm still here. The process and the story is a lot deeper than what I've shared. But there was times where, when the kids were a lot younger, that I didn't want to be here. And that's a whole different conversation. But I'm here, I'm living, I look at them and they're happy. And even when they're not happy and they're having their down days, I'm happy that they can come to me and go, boy, you did this, or you didn't hear me. Or mum, today's not even about you. It's about that person I spoke to yesterday. So I'm really proud that I'm here. I'm really proud that I'm still working on myself at my age, that I can understand that, right, I'm triggered by this, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah.
I'm proud of you for the same, and I thank God for your life. You're
Thank
incredible.
you.
The work that you do on the healing table, listeners, please check out the links. They will be in the description. But I really thank you for not giving up on you, because
Thank you.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. So the next question I have is, what do you want to say sorry to yourself for?
Sorry to myself for mistreating my temple. Again, it's a whole different conversation. So growing up, I wasn't the healthiest because I didn't know how to manage my emotions and my triggers. And I don't mind sharing this because this is another journey that we're doing and we're sharing. So people have different coping mechanisms. And my coping mechanism was to eat. And it took me to challenge myself and to see what I've transferred onto my children for me to then backstep and say like, hey, chick, you need to fix up. And it's never too late to fix up. But I have to apologize to myself and always ask myself for forgiveness for not understanding how important my health was. Because I didn't feel looked after and cared for, I also didn't care for myself. Hence why I let things trigger me, because I could have protected myself. But because I wanted to be triggered and sometimes sit in the anger, I have to apologize to myself that I didn't deserve to be unhealthy, because I'm going to call it unhealthy, due to my triggers and being unable to manage them. And some people be like, oh, it's a cop out, people manage triggers differently. You've got eating habits, you've got drinking. Some people do sexual things. But at the end of the day, that's me apologizing to myself. Those who understand it will, those who don't, that's their problem.
Yeah, that's really true. Really, really true. That's deep. Yeah, really deep. What do you have to thank yourself for?
I thank myself for grace, giving myself enough grace, understanding that certain things that's happened or certain things that I couldn't cope with, I have enough grace to let me be able to deal with the grace and understand that as much as I'm in pain now, it will become a memory soon.
Yeah, that's deep. So true. Really wise words. My final question to you is, what are you willing to let go of and heal as a result of this conversation today?
You see, I like the way you said it because you worded it correctly. Willing.
Mm.
Sometimes in life, we don't have the will to let things go because we want to be angry. And at this moment, what am I willing to let go of after this conversation? Mm. See, if you worded it as what would you like to let go of, I could tell you what I would like to. But what am I willing to? That one, I don't know, you know. Because there's a lot of stuff that I'm sitting in. I'm willing to let go of trying to hold my parents accountable for certain things they didn't do.
Wow.
I am willing to let go of certain things that I'm trying to hold my parents accountable for. I am willing, I said it 3 times now, I sound like Dr. Umar. I am willing to let go of things that I was trying to hold my parents accountable for. Willing. I'm going to use the word, yeah, your wording, that word, you got me there with the wording. Willing, yeah, I'm willing to, yeah.
Love your conviction in your response. That speaks
Yeah.
volumes. It really speaks volumes.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough for being here today. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you at a different level. Just thank you. It's been an honor having this conversation with you. You made me laugh when I was saying to you today, Fran.
I was on my best behavior. Like, I'm getting better, but thank you for having me.
It's beautiful to hear what you shared about your children, but I love how they're pouring that love back into you. And they are every event that you do, and they pull you up. They're incredible. All the love you've poured into them, they pour back into you. So,
I appreciate that.
what a call to action for listeners. Listeners, let's turn words into action. If you're moved by today's story, think about how you can offer some support, no matter how big or small, whether it's through a kind message, through sharing a resource, or connecting with our guests. Let's build a community that uplifts and empowers each other. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Unheard Cries of a Mother. Your story matters, and together we can create ripple effects of understanding, support, and transformation. If today's conversation resonated with you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, as mothers, we're stronger together. Until next time, let's keep lifting each other up and turning unheard cries into powerful voices. Thank you so much again, Fran. Absolute honor. And I know that this conversation is going to touch so many people's hearts and minds.
Thank you for having me.